RAYNET, CQ RAYNET. This is Golf 4 November Romeo Charlie, operated today by Greg, Golf 0 Delta Uniform Bravo, serving as net control for the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net. This net meets each Sunday afternoon at 1600 local time on talk groups 23531 on Pheonix and Brandmeister and 50235331 on the RAYNET-UK network. And it's open to all amateur radio operators interested in communications. Primary purpose of the net is to allow members to test equipment, exchange traffic, news, opinions and information, and additional information can be found at the RAYNET-UK website at www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls are to be made to the net control station unless you're instructed otherwise, and all RAYNET-UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When you do check in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name, and if you wish to leave the net immediately after checking in, then please call in and out. Otherwise, if you want to leave after subsequent turns, then please make it clear you want to check out at that time. After a few check-ins have been heard, I will repeat them after they're heard, and if you're not acknowledged, please do try again, and I will be calling for any strays, that's people who missed their turn to call in at the end of the UK and international sections. So as usual, I'll begin taking check-ins to the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net in call sign number order. So any stations with figure 8 in their call wishing to check in, please do so now. This is G4 NRC.
Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G8 EEY, name is Mike. Golf 8 Sugar Delta United, name is Bob, in and out.
G4 NRC, I've got Mike, Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, and Bob, Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform. Those in and out. Any other 8s, please? G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, nothing heard from any more 8s, so let's go for 7s. Stations figure 7 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over. 7 of the H, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel. Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg. G4 NRC, I've got Graham, Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, and Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar staying with me. Any other 7s, please? G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, nothing heard, so let's go for 6s. Stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, second call in case there's any doubling. Any 6s, please? G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, then we'll do our usual call for stations figure 5. Figure 5 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, and since we don't have any 5s, let's go straight to the 4s. Stations figure 4. Figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over.
G4 NRC, G4 KUJ, Trevor in Malta.
George 4 Echo Kilowatt Mexico.
A Golf 4 Kilo India Lima Philip, South Sussex.
G4NRC. Let's let my loggies catch up a little bit. So I've got Trevor, G4KUJ, Steve, Golf 4 Echo Kilo Mike, and Philip, Golf 4 Kilo India Lima. Any other fours, please? G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard. So it's the threes. Stations figure 3 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over.
Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, Ian.
Golf 3 Victor, Echo Hotel. G3VH, Chris in Winchester, Sonny Winchester. In and out this afternoon again. Great, good afternoon. G3VH.
G4NRC, good afternoon, Ian. Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray. And staying with me, and Chris, Golf 3 Victor Echo Hotel in sunny Winchester. My daughter will be so pleased since she's up here today. You're in and out. Any other threes, please? G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard. So let's have twos. Stations with figure 2 in their call sign, and that's especially you, intermediate twos. Please call now. G4NRC, over.
2 Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, calling from Midway.
Echo 0, Tango, Golf, Echo. Don't know.
G4NRC. Okay, we've got Colin, 2 Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra. Good afternoon to you, Colin. Slight, sounds like mobile flutter on your signal, which can't be. But Toby, 2 Echo 0, Tango Golf Echo. Can you go again? You had 21% packet loss. Wasn't sure what your intentions were, staying or in and out. 2E0TGE, G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard, but we'll leave Toby on the list and call him in at the appropriate time and see if his equipment gets better than 21% packet loss. Any other twos, please? Any other intermediate twos? G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard. Let's have the ones. Stations figure 1 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4NRC, over.
Echo 1, Golf Delta Foxtrot. Name is Sean, over in Derby, in and out. 2 Echo 1, Golf Delta Foxtrot.
G4NRC, okay, no problem. Good afternoon. 2 Echo 1, Golf Delta Foxtrot. Haven't copied you in and out. Any other stations figure 1 in their call sign, please? G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard, so here we go. Let's have Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please call now, over.
Here's Mike 0, Golf Uniform Yankee. Good afternoon.
Name 0, JSA, East Suffolk.
G4NRC, okay, I've got a guy, got Mike 0 Golf Uniform Yankee, and Alan, Mike 0 Juliet Sierra Alpha. Any other Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, over.
G4NRZ, MI0, MSO, Falcon, Northern Ireland.
M0 MFS Drew.
G4NRC. So let's do the 4 I've got for sure. I've got Mike 0 Golf Uniform Yankee Guy, Mike 0 Juliet Sierra Alpha Alan, Mike India 0 Mike Sierra Oscar Philip, and Mike 0 Mike Foxtrot Sierra Drew. I'm missing some of our Southwest contingent, so one more call just to be sure. Any Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, over. G4NRC, nothing heard, so let's go for Golf 0 stations, Golf 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please call now. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, any Golf 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, over. Mike 0 Delta X-Ray Victor, do you wish to call into the net, Mike, over? G4NRC, nothing heard, but it did appear on the dashboard. Okay, any UK stations that missed their turn to call in, please call now. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, then it's international liaison time. Many of our international colleagues on the talk group today, usually Nord-Band of Norway, Arin and Ireland, Aries and Slovakia, or any of our Region 1 colleagues. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, then a final call. Anybody wishing to join the RAYNET-UK activity period, please call now. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, okay, nothing heard. Right, slightly longer check-in than usual, given those need to circle back for a couple of stations. So, usual reminder, today's net is being live-streamed by Graham, G7NEH, to YouTube. His live stream and recording are available by searching G7NEH, that's Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, on YouTube. And there's no video from me today, which should continue to help the viewing figures climb up. Main topic of discussion today is Stone Babettes and the impacts locally in your areas. There are currently 2 severe flood warnings, 160 flood alerts and 139 lower level flood alerts of some description. I've repeated my script here in England alone, but many of those are in areas where we don't have RAYNET DMR activity or active RAYNET groups. Scotland's got 1 warning and 5 alerts, with Wales on 1 warning and 7 alerts. But Scotland is now under a yellow weather warning for ice, which is not the best way to find surplus water in these kind of events. My travels just into North Wales on Friday, the peak of the rain, it felt like I found many flooded roads. It took an hour just to do 1 mile down a road because the road flooding was sufficiently deep and slowing people down. Many properties were being pumped out, so the effects are quite widespread. I haven't seen any information on any call-outs so far for RAYNET, but given the conditions, would you have deployed your members? Or if you had, could they have even got through to where they were needed? On a slightly lighter note, hopefully some people have taken part in Jamboree on the air this weekend to bring the next generation of radiometers through. And looking more to the future, next weekend brings the National RAYNET AGM in Sully, Bagel of Glamorgan. But I'm also aware that Merseyside RAYNET were planning a training day on DMR at the same time. So if you're not at the AGM or watching the live stream of the event, then please listen out for any activity from them. So, it's over to you for your comments. Let's start with Mike, Golf 8, Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4NRC from G8EEY. I've just been counting my flood alerts. There's about somewhere around about 20 since Friday. Yeah, it's been fairly heavy rain. Certainly I've seen some local flooding, but nothing too serious. But it's mostly around river areas where we've been getting the problems. We've not been called out. I've tended not to do anything other than notify members of the flood alerts as they come in. Try and put them into groups. Whether we could have done any great deal of effort, I don't know. It's always a problem. There are some areas where you say you definitely would not try and go. Round Salhouse Way, there are some areas where you can end up with water underneath railway bridges that goes deeper than the average height of a car. So you wouldn't want to go through that. And I found it interesting hearing about people not evacuating up in Scotland and then trying to drive off in a hybrid car and finding that they end up stuck in the middle of a lake, and of course they can't even get the doors open. One of the problems with electric vehicles. Weather generally, I've lost it. Where are we? Oh yes, 12.3 centigrade, 1007 millibars, 2% relative humidity, a nice 12% cloud cover, so it's little fluffy clouds, and 9.8 miles per hour from 253. That's about it for round one, I think, from me, from G8EEY.
Echo Yankee, Chief 4NRC. You nearly beat me on the logging. I'll see if Trevor will mark my handiwork later. Yes, okay. Two aspects of that will provoke for round two. Hybrid vehicle, I was actually quite glad I was in a hybrid, driving through something that was shin to nearly knee-deep in parts, going through the bit of Wales I was going past by Harden Airport. Vehicle in front of me had gone through too fast, and his engine running had inhaled a great amount of water. Luckily, as I was going through it, I was on electric, so the vehicle wasn't breathing, and I managed to get through, despite being nearly lifted off my wheels by a car coming the other direction, going way too fast. So yes, there's going to be something about relative merits of different vehicles. I'll come across the one where I wouldn't be able to open my doors if things didn't run, though. I thought that was still rather mechanical. Your weather report, since some people comment about this in different ways, our Irish colleagues in Arran, a couple of them have been talking about passing weather reports just as message handling exercises. There was a thought that should the information be handed over to a national weather authorities, the same way as happens in America, but that's probably not getting legs because there's quite a lot of citizen weather stations around the UK and Ireland contributing data. The problem they have is too much data, not too little. But it would provide a useful way of checking people's reported weather conditions. Since there's probably another weather station nearby, you can spot the ones who decided to put some random numbers in. So it's still wombling around Arran as a thought. Okay, let's get the viewing figures for the moment from Graham. G7NEH, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G7NEH, good afternoon Greg, good afternoon to all on the net. And last week's viewing figures were a total of 20 views and 2 likes, and the channel's also gained another couple of subscribers, so many thanks to those that take the time to hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. So there we go. News this week, well, I've been up and participating in a joke station Friday night and Saturday, and made quite a few contacts, had a few visits from some local Cub Scout groups who enjoyed it, and yeah, bands weren't as good as we thought. Some difficult conditions and contests on. As regards the weather, there was some local flooding in the local area on the country lanes, which made it difficult for travel on the Friday, but it was okay by Saturday afternoon. So that's about it from me. G4NRC, G7NEH.
G7NEH, G4NRC. Oh, that's good. Scout's presence at Jota, I think in post-COVID times, is very good. Not sure how their numbers have come back post various lockdowns in the last few years. But I'd had the idea this was probably the first Jota where everything was running properly and people were back to some kind of routine. I did tune around a bit yesterday, but mostly also looking for a potential source of the high noise levels in my area. So I'll be sharing a video probably with you, Dave and Trevor later to see if it's something that we should circulate more widely for inspiration. So on that cryptic hint, next to Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Yeah, good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, everyone on that. Hope all is well. Yeah, just an update. Weather on Friday around Cheshire, mid Cheshire or West Cheshire was pretty awful. I did try and get across to Graham actually with partly it was after just to drop off and give them some moral support while they were there. But I tried 3 different ways locally to get to where Graham was, and all 3 roads were blocked and impassable. And a couple of places did have cars floating in them that were waiting for recovery, I think. They weren't going far. But I worked all day yesterday, and I've been across to Nantwich today. So the roads are an awful lot better, and the weather seems a lot better locally around here now. Even the main roads in Nantwich, which have been shut to the railway line, are back passable. So that's good news for everyone, and I hope there's nothing too much trouble caused to homes and that in the area affected by the flooding. Back to you, Greg. Catch you next round. And
Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC. Okay, Dave. Slight burbliness on your audio. 4% packet loss across that over. It's got a long one, so not many, and some of it just seemed to be at the very end where it broke up more than usual. Yeah, understood on some of the back roads being blocked. There's one route I wouldn't try getting to Graham on from here because that habitually floods. And I wouldn't so fancy trying it. If it's a little flood, then it's fine. But if you're going to be in it for a couple of minutes, then if you're driving through, maybe not. There are some shockers on YouTube. If anybody does go hunting around, somebody with a new to them Range Rover was showing off their driving on the Friday and Saturday. And while the depth may not have been too great on some of the things he was driving through, the speed of water flow across the road looked rather high for me to have thought of trying it, even in a rangy. But with a smile, I noticed when he was doing pictures of look how wonderful the car was, his sump protector had been slightly ripped off on the underside of the vehicle, so that crossing water was not helping the underside of his car, even if he was dry and smug. Okay, next to Trevor, G4KUJ, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC and Group G4KUJ, yes, that's me, Greg and everybody else. I know there are issues down here in Hertfordshire. I've had 1 or 2 heavy showers, but nothing serious. The only thing I've been doing this week is trying to take another data mode onto QO100. Got FL Digi working as on demand with no problems whatsoever. It's in duplex mode using a very old XP netbook for transmit, and the Windows 10 fast computer laptop to use SDR console, which is pretty heavy on computer power, and also receiving on FL Digital works at pre. So the aim this week was to try and get JS8 call going. So the first thing I found is that on transmit, JS8 call doesn't work on XP, despite the fact that on the website it says may work on XP. So I've got to sort that out, but I have got JS8 running on the fast computer, and that's working okay. I've been monitoring the FT8 channel on QO100, and I'm seeing quite a lot of stations, but none of them decoding at the moment. I'm not sure whether straight FT8 decodes on JS8 call or not. I'll have to have a look at that. So that's what I've been up to, Greg. G4 and RT, G4KUJ.
G4KUJ, G4 and RC returning. Okay, well, I've been down a few rabbit holes. You're aware probably from a WhatsApp message, but just for further down the line, the Radio Odyssey DB25- whatever it is, D, that I got weeks ago with the aim of trying the crossband digital to analog repeat and other such functions, which has been fighting me back on getting contacts and code plugs in. I'm now on my third code plug editor, and this one's working. So after another few hours spent over the weekend trying to persuade it into life, I might have a new DMR radio working here as a base station, and you'll be able to try some of the other stuff, but going through 3 sets of software has been a little frustrating. I'm distracted from all the other things here, like the Arden nodes and the new packet radio and other things I wanted to play with, so we'll get there, slow but sure. Right, Trevor, there's more in my head about for you later, but let's go to Steve. G4EKM, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, G4NRC, G4EKM. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday afternoon. Started off this morning about 2 degrees. And then this afternoon it's got quite nice. It's been up to about 14 degrees. So there you go. Yes, we had a few little problems in the area as normal with the Storm Babette in Northumberland. There was no call out or anything like that for RAYNET, but as some may have seen on the national news, etc., Rothbury was evacuated, various homes. Because the River Coquette was overflowing, burst its banks. The only people who, apart from the normal emergency services, who were in attendance was Mountain Rescue and also the Coast Guard. Other things that have been happening, I am messing around with Packet again, gone full circle. 30 years ago, 1980s, Packet was all the rage. Then we got the internet. Powered up my TNC, my PK88, and I think the last time it was switched on was probably about 30 years ago. And it, apart from disconnecting the battery, because obviously they've done a bit funny, everything worked fine. I had to do a little bit of adjustment, but I've actually, I'm doing a change to my NOV for the Arden Mesh GB7 NED to also include the packet side on 2 meters, 9375. We've got a few stations in the area, and there's a bit of a interest in our local clubs. So that's what I've been getting set up. Hopefully, it's not going to take too long for it to come through the NOV. intention is to route traffic both through 2 meters, through the Arden node, and also the LoRa node as well. So I've got a lot of experimenting to do, and obviously it's a good job I'm in IT. G4NRC, G4EKM.
Or EKM, G4NRC returning. There we go, we've got the bridge as well. Okay, yes, well, in the amazing bundle of reference node stuff that I have here when I was tech team leader, Ordinary Packet was still in the mix for that because it's something that was just so easy to weave in. Not sure what your intentions are, but BPQ node software is still alive, well and maintained, and I think it'll easily route Arden and 2 meters. I'm not sure how the LoRa WAN presents itself into your system, but I'm sure there's probably a way around that one as well. So avoiding any other silliness, that's what I'm planning on using. And I've got an older Pi here with the Pi TNC sat on top of it, which is a BPQ node all to itself. It just needs to find the time to get it on air. The one sly observation for anybody who is going very Chinesey with their radio purchases, just observe the hard way that my new Radio Oddity does not have a DIN-style data jack on the back. So they are made for voice, and there is a separate connector on the side with a Kenwood-style double 2.5 and 3.5 mil jack plugs in, which you could probably make into a packet radio style interface. But not as easy to interface some of the newer, cheaper radios for data as it is with the ones from the usual big suppliers. Right, Philip, G4KIL, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G4KIL, yes. Okay, 3 things I've written down. Let's have a look at the usual about deployment. I mean, would we deploy? Well, I don't think we deploy unless we were called upon. If we were called upon, we'll be offered to deploy. I think we'd have to make an assessment at the time. That's a bit of a get-out, isn't it? But I think it's a realistic statement. I mean, a number of our members have Land Rovers and would probably consider trying to assist if they consider it to sensible. I mean, I know from hearing something some while ago, there was some stuff about being very, very wary about driving through floods because you can't see if there's a big hole in the road which you'd fall into. I don't have a Land Rover, so I would just wait and see what happens. I think. I mean, potentially, I suppose if a member of the emergency services wishes to carry me somewhere, then I might consider going. So I don't know if that answers it or not. Other things down. Yes, still intending to go to the AGM. I did follow the suggestion, Greg, of seeking a note on the, I think I'm in the right place, on the RAYNET-UK Facebook. And the general chat, I think I stuck it, saying if anybody was going. I mean, I booked a place overnight. I said last week I'd go ahead and do that anyway. So I'm booked in a place in about 3 miles away, I think. If I don't hear in the next few days, I'll book a train ticket to go, which is fine. So I look forward to seeing people there. Or I suppose related to that, I would probably bring my VHF UHF FM radio, handheld radio with me, because I feel bereft if I didn't have it with me. But I wouldn't be intending to bring anything else, and I assume that would be appropriate. My third thing, let me try and slow down because I do talk quickly, don't I? So let you catch up, Greg. And yes, so let me slow down. And the other one was sometime, probably not next week, maybe the week after. I do have my A-tone sort of mobile back now. Apparently, I don't know if I said this last week. Apparently, the loss of real-time clock was due to the fact that the version I've got now has a capacitor to keep it rather than a battery to back it up. It only backs up for a couple of days, but it does reset with the GPS, so that's probably the answer to let it do that. But as soon as I've got it back, what I might try, as I say, probably in a couple of weeks' time, will be to set it up between this talk group and the local FM frequency that we use, just to see if I can establish whether I can get it working, because I think I did say before, we seem to have some problems trying to do it. I'll try and investigate that more. Okay, I think that's probably the time out there anyway. G for NRC, G for KIL.
G4KIL, G4NRC, that's okay, and I did my best to keep up. Yeah, I'm just trying to get the Radio Odyssey into a, can it be a basic dual band and dual mode radio first, and then I'll go back into the code plug and set up a zone with the cross mode and cross band repeat in the various guises. But at the moment, so we can do some basic functions. I really don't want to push it too hard. Facebook chat, that explains something. I'm not on that chat group. I don't know why Facebook decided to diversify into about 15 different things, but no, that's one I'm not on. I'm on enough social medias of varying degrees that a subgroup of a group wasn't something that was going to get me, but I do think about 70 people are on that chat group out of the 400 who are on the Facebook group, so it will have had a reasonable viewing, I'm sure. Okay, next to Ian, Golf 3, Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4NRC, over.
Good afternoon, G4NRC and the group. This is G3ZHX. It's a sunny day here for once. I've got a few comments on discussions we're having. I was permitted to take a cold water awareness course some years ago, and I would recommend anybody who gets the opportunity to do that. We were taught a lot about how to cross flowing water and what constitutes swift water, which apparently is anything above 1 mile an hour. I remember the instructor kept saying that the water is 1,000 times more dense than air, and you have to take that into account. And various other life-saving techniques, but the main thing they were teaching us subliminally was not to go in the water in the first place. To give you some idea, the course was cut short because of the sleet, and we were all right in dry suits, but the instructors were getting cold. As regards wading, my experience, virtually any vehicle should be able to wade right up to the sills, provided you do it carefully and nobody comes round the corner the other way doing excessive speed. But you do have to take care, various things, and I'm not going to go into that now, but one thing I will hammer on about, which I tell everybody, is if you do wade anywhere up to just below your hubs, make sure your brakes are dry before you continue. Or in my case, while I was continuing, I generally left foot brake as I'm driving away from the flood. I unfortunately shot straight across the A5 once before I learned that technique, but I got away with it because I'm still here. And as regards Chinese packet, there's a lot of chat on the tiny track reflector about the UV5Rs not being acceptable for packet radio. There are problems with them going from receive to transmit, if I remember correctly. They can be a bit slow going to transmit, but you have control over that. But coming the other way, there is apparently no setup for it. So that's worth bearing in mind. And with that, I will leave it till the next round. So G4NRC in the group, this is G3ZHX.
ZHX, G4NRC returning. Okay, subliminal hints of don't go into water is lots of it put down in the log, which is probably what I also picked up. But something I think I was commenting on at work rather than on RAYNET. But once upon a time, we used to have public service information films that would get put on at curious times of the day when there was no advertising up. And I do remember the checking your brakes after fording a river when doing such things were more frequent. It was very much burned into my brain as a kid with, yes, if ever I get to drive, I must remember to do that. And yes, it's something I do still do. So, yes, if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it, I think is the other subliminal message about driving in these kind of conditions. Right, down to Kent. Colin, you were talking about having a fire service demonstration, I thought, earlier. 2E0 CMS, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, G4 NRC, 2E0 CMS. Yes, yeah, I was going to say the storm has mostly missed us, so I won't really comment too much on that. I think we've been fairly lucky apart from a couple of heavy showers. But yes, following on from our demonstration in August, the Kent Fire and Rescue have asked us to, if we'd be prepared to head up to Sheffield next week and do a demonstration of a Starlink and voice over internet phones and maybe even DMR for the National Fire Chiefs Council's Business Continuity Group, which I think has about 150 members across 40 fire services across the UK on it. So I must admit, I didn't really fancy the drive up there, but I've managed to get the day off work and had the Starlink out today, given it a test, made sure it's done its updates, made sure it's all working fine. Got the voice over internet phones running anyway, so I'll give them a clean off and make sure they're all ready to go before I go up there. I haven't got any timings as such yet, but must admit, hopefully the weather's not going to be too bad on that day, because it's about a 4-hour drive to get up from Kent up to Sheffield. But looking forward to doing that anyway, and waving the RAYNET flag a little bit for us. I think we did try contacting the groups up in Sheffield via email to see if we could get any involvement with them, but we didn't get any reply back. But that's another discussion to be had. Anyway, I don't think I've got anything else to add at the moment. G4 NRC 2E0 CMS.
Try that again, see if the system will latch it. Bill 2 Echo 0 Charlie Mike Sierra G4 and RC returning. Okay, pass that thing about Sheffield RAYNET groups back via ZC. I'm not sure we've got a ZC in the Sheffield area to find out why. Starlink, what you've reminded me of is a question I meant to ask Steve G4EKM, and that is, in heavy rain, how well did the effectively microwave Starlink and AREDN nodes perform when you have amazing deluges of rain like that? I remember learning, observing somebody else some time ago, that different polarizations matter on microwave. As raindrops fall through the air, they're longer and thinner because of that thing called gravity. So you have more attenuation, I think, vertically polarized than horizontally polarized. But I'm wondering how Starlink and Arden perform in the kind of biblical flooding levels we've had of rainfall of late. So if you two can hold that as a quick thought for the second round. Let's try for Toby. 2 Echo 0, Tango Golf Echo, 2E0 TGE, G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, I guess Toby has got technical issues, hence after his first call he didn't manage to make it through. Okay, maybe next week. Guy, Mike 0, Golf Uniform Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, G4 and RC and 0 GUI. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, all in the net. Fortunately, the storms have avoided us as well. We're up on a hill, so it's got to be very, very flooded. At one point, I suspect there's an opportunity for a boat and collecting people in 2x2. But for us, rainy, but didn't cause too much grief. Fully EV cars, so haven't actually yet taken them for a swim, but one assumes that they would continue to function for a little while. Will I be activated? Will I go? Well, that's an interesting question. Depends, I guess, on circumstances. But my wife and son were supposed to go to Swansea on the train, and we got notification the night before that the train line had cancelled the trains, So we decided, well, actually, that just as well, it's not an essential journey, and so probably best to avoid that area for that time. So that's what we did instead. Other than that, not a lot to report at the moment. A few more members have joined the DMR server, presumably from the RSGB conference, so that's all very good, and more the merrier. With that, I'll hand it back to you, Greg, from N0GY to G4 NRC.
G4 NRC, returning to Mike Zero Golf Uniform Yankee in the RAYNET-UK DMR activity period. Okay, nice to see that uptick in members, and we've had 2 or 3 more hotspots join us over the course of the afternoon as well. Okay, we've got 3 to go. We've realised this conversation is so good, we're running a little over time for where I need to be soon. So, Alan, Mike Zero Juliet Sierra Alpha, G4 NRC, over.
Hey, I'm Zero, so returning. Hopefully that wasn't a hint to be brief. Question of funny order, really, yeah. Suffolk was caught out in 1 or 2 places, mainly where the rivers are. The rivers overflowed and flooded the area around. Ian G0, who was an SR group controller, was unable to get out of his driveway because of the roads being blocked by vehicles which couldn't get through the flood water further down. He lives on a main road from Ipswich to Norwich, in fact. He just literally couldn't get out of his gate because there was an HGV parked across it, and that was there for most of the day until he managed to clear the road. He walked down the road and the water was a metre above the road at the bridge over the river, so that was not so good. In answer to the question, we didn't get put on standby. If we had got put on standby, would we have been able to go out? Obviously, that's down to the individuals to make a decision on that. As it turned out, I had a dental appointment on Friday lunchtime, and sadly I was able to get into Felixstowe and back in the Land Rover through the deep water caused by the drains being blocked. So yeah, I would have been able to get out. I would have been able to get to our control and take that somewhere, provided I could get to where we were going. But yeah, until you try, you don't know. Put it that way. I've got something for next time around, very briefly, what I've been doing today, but at that, I'll leave it at that. So back to you, Greg. G4 LRC, M2 Jazz Sound Group.
JSA, G4 NRC returning. Okay, yes, I think what we're coming to the theme of is it's down to individuals, because we're all volunteers, and a personal risk assessment of whether or not you can go. But the other side of that is the situational awareness, because we are in all sorts of strange places. We could still actually provide information of what was blocked and what wasn't, without actually having to move too far in some circumstances. Certainly the conditions would get the worse as the day went on, so my initial trip into Wales on Friday morning was doable, but was a bit wary, so I took a different route when I had to go back in the afternoon, and that flooding had got a lot worse just in the course of 6 hours. So yes, situational awareness definitely a key. 2 to go. Philip, Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, excuse me, MI0MSO. Yeah, well, the storms thankfully didn't affect us at all up here in the north. Well, at all, not too bad. And saying that, our friends in EI didn't have a good time. We weren't put on standby or anything, no communications at all about that, but we were put in standby a couple of weeks ago, I think you're aware, because of the theft of some BT cable. From that, myself and the zonal coordinator now have to go to a meeting on the 3rd of November. They're interested in looking at the Starlink system we have and what capabilities that have, and I will be updating them on our Arden progress. A lot of work was done on that yesterday. We haven't done that one for a couple of months. So if anybody has any presentation material or information that I can drop on the presentation about Ireland, I would greatly appreciate it. As I say, they know the capabilities of RAYNET when it comes to radio and deployment and stuff, but they're not aware of completely resilient data network and breakouts through Starlink or somewhere else. So if anybody has any presentation material or any graphics, anything you can drop on the presentation, I would appreciate that. And for any of those that are at the AGM next week, I'll see you there and catch up. Okay, great, because we are running over time. I'll leave it at that. And give you 7-3.
G4 and RC returning. Yeah, we'll do one more round. There is a basketball game tonight, but with them moving the tip-off time back by half an hour, I do have a little bit more wiggle room. It'd be good to see you at the AGM. If you need any presentation material, then obviously give Stevie for G4EKM a ping afterwards. And where's Charlie's call sign gone? FeedNet is still up in the Edinburgh area. So not strictly Arden, I think, their network, but would also have some graphics of stuff in a real-life installation. But I'll have a think before the AGM next week. I'm still waiting to find out if there's an RSGB Spectral Forum at the same time to determine whether or not I can actually be in most of the AGM or whether I just come back in for the last hour of the AGM after getting my head mashed in the Spectrum Forum on a teleconference. So still waiting for a decision on that one. So you said 7-3s. I will leave you open, just give you a call as we do a quick second round. But really just emphasising Alan's not been followed by not one but two stations, so JSA definitely wasn't the last today. Drew, Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4 and RC over.
For NRC from M0MFS. Yeah, not a lot to add other than we've actually managed two events 4 days apart, so quite a drought. And then Goose Fair on the Wednesday and a Warrior Women's Walk around Berritor with Cornwall on the Sunday, and then another event coming up on the 5th. So it's gone from almost nothing to every weekend, which is good. Though I'm not sure if the wife necessarily agrees. I am very interested in what people are doing with Arden. I put a couple of Arden notes together in the last month or so, but I haven't really had much time to do anything other than sort of load the firmware and throw it on and run a little network in the shed. So very interested in what people are doing with that. Other than that, I'll call it 73. It's getting quite late from M0MFS.
Mike 0, Mike Foxtrot Sierra, G4 and RC. Okay, yes, we've had the equivalent drought in West Cheshire RAYNET, and then you get a load of events, and then they started pulling them away from us. So the threat of flood just receded very fast in terms of that. Arden has been on my mind again because I did suggest ages ago that we have little puddles, sorry for the pun, of Arden interest. But a bit like DMR, where we had lots of people spread around the country, but not enough in any area to learn much about Arden, and hence the DMR server grew the arms and legs we see today. I was thinking of at least proposing we should tunnel between all the different Arden nodes so that you can learn the firmware and the hardware, but actually have some other stations a distance away to bounce on, even if it's through an internet wormhole. And then once people can see the usefulness of it, maybe it will grow. So that kind of got put off by an area of the country that was, yes, we're interested, but no, our user services won't let us connect to any other network anywhere, which kind of shot me down for having a central hub for Arden to bounce off, but kind of getting to feel that the rest of the country shouldn't suffer for the benefit of one. So that idea's in my head, Drew. Here I've got 3 Arden nodes running within the house, mesh networking away so I can learn and play, and 2 of the more higher power units to link away with. My challenge is how I'm going to fix them in with new packet radio and the 44net addressing scheme. So yeah, I'm hearing enough to make me think let's have a play again. My logger has marked you as out anyway, so I guess we are going to go for the accelerated. Anybody get any final comments? Back to the top of the list, and Mike, Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC from G8 DEY. Oh, well, I'll put them in order. When it comes to wading, I was always told that if you don't know the road, and sometimes most of the time if you do know the road, always walk it before you drive it. Any water that comes above the sill of the average car is likely to leave the car able to float away if there's any sort of current. If in water up to your knees, any sort of speed of flow would sweep you off your feet and take you off downriver. Many decades ago, I did packet on 2 meters from Norwich to Birmingham. I took an FT209 portable and a portable laptop and a TNC and managed to do a 2-way link across country, which is not too bad. VHF, okay. UHF and satellite, microwave, yeah, you can get dropout and brownouts with signals. In Norfolk, certainly the drains get blocked courtesy of this wonderful let's throw glue on the roads and throw gravel at it. And of course all the chippings end up down the drains. And yes, we were working on having DMR hotspots in all the strategic locations in Norfolk. But unfortunately, nowhere will let us connect via, how should we say, RJ45 into their network. So it means having a phone or something like that else to get into cell phones rather than going via Wi-Fi, which is a bit sad. That's about it from G8 DEY.
Right, Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC. I got most of that. Water up to sills may float the car. Yeah, I was thinking, given the weight of batteries on the back of my hybrid and the 2-litre engine in the front, gives me a little extra ballast to hold it down. So I'm more worried about the water getting inside the pan of the vehicle for a while. But driving through water that deep, I seem to remember there was something else about don't take your hot catalytic converter through water that deep because you can wreck the cat. But I'm sure we'll get more comments on that further down the list. How many viewers have we lost, Graham? G7 and the H, G4 and RC, over.
G4, G7 and the H. Right, okay, so this week's viewers count. Just open up Google. We've had a total of 16 views, and we've got 5 concurrent views at the moment, and 2 likes. And just in the chat, Toby, 20TGE, is listening, and Andy has trouble with his hotspot. Isn't got a call sign there, so I'm not quite sure of his call sign, but I know the name. So with that, back to you. D4 and RC, G7 and the H.
G4 and RC returning. Oh, thanks for that, Graham, and thanks for the feedback from the chat. Nice to know Toby is still with us and listening. Hopefully we get the transmit issue sorted out for next week. Right, Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Yeah, not a great deal to add this end, Greg. Again, thanks for taking the net. Could do with catching up, perhaps a call on the landline sometimes when you're free, maybe later on in the week or something, and have a chat with you and feel in a few things that's going on at the minute. But yeah, other than that, hopefully catch you next week back after going to South Wales. Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar.
Great. 7 and the H, go ahead, over.
Yeah, just to clarify, Andy's call sign M0 WBA, Whiskey Bravo Alpha, who's also listening. He's up to his hotspot. E7 and EH, acknowledged, and good afternoon, Andy. Then I've corrected the log. Dave, yes, no problem. You've reminded me that somebody else wanted to have a catch up with me. I just ran out of nights last week. It got very late with work, so yes, I will drop you a message and see when we can have a chat. Okay, Trevor, G4KUJ, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G4KUJ. Yep, okay. All very interesting inputs this afternoon. Regarding rain attenuation, I have made a few measurements looking at the downlink from QO100 on 10 gigs during rain, and the maximum I've seen under very, very heavy rain at this end is about 3 dBs on 10 gigs. So that's probably about right, and occasionally see dropouts on satellite TV when there's heavy rain, and I would agree with you that does depend on which polarization the signal is coming in, because you can get one that just drops out, go over to the channel with the other polarization, and it's in. So it's quite critical. Anyway, nothing further. Back to you, and regards to everyone. G4NRC, G4KUJ.
UJ, G4NRC. Okay, thanks, Trevor. Thanks for your help doing the log and for not passing adverse comments and my logging of the right-hand column. We're getting there. Steve, I wonder if you picked up, I hope you picked up Philip MI0MSO's query about Arden presentation dates. I wonder if you can assist. G4EKM, G4NRC, over.
Yeah, G4NRC, G4EKM. Yeah, I've got a lot of list of things to talk about there. First of all, yeah, I am going to be using BPQ, Greg. Shouldn't cause a problem between 2 meters and the Arden stuff. And also, the LoRa node, which is an EPS 32 device, appears as a serial device. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify, if it hasn't already been done, I'm going to modify the code so it actually outputs onto the serial device as well. So that's one of the things that I'm planning on doing. And the transmitter I'm actually using on the packet is a Motorola GM3400. So an old workhorse which works very, very well. Just running it down at 5 watts. So I'm well within the 7 dB WERP for the NOV. And yes, regards rain, well, Arden, it doesn't really suffer that much because it runs primarily in MIMO. So it flips between vertical and horizontal polarization. So it tries to keep itself up on that. And interesting when you were saying about Starlink, I don't know because I haven't actually used it, but I know there's quite a few of my friends over in the Philippines who have gone Starlink, and I'm just thinking, how on earth have they managed to work it still when there's been like tornadoes and things like that? Because when it rains, it really does rain. Our rain in this country is just drizzle compared to typhoons, and I managed to get through 2 of them in July. Arden presentation. I haven't got an Arden presentation as such, but if you have access to Facebook, there is a group called Arden, Alpha Romeo Delta Echo Nancy, and one of the guys on there from the States who was heavily involved in the whole firmware and the project, etc., a guy called Orv Beach. I got him to do an online Zoom presentation to our group who was interested in all of the yard and stuff, and there was a few others got involved in that as well. Presentations available public or what, but that's certainly something. But we'll be able to talk about that, catch up with that later if so be it. I've also got up in the northeast here. We're all part of this group called NEDNet, Northeast Data Network, and we've got a website, nednet.org.uk. nednet.org.uk. That's got a few bits and pieces on. It gives a little bit of information. Not a great deal, to be truthful, but as we're doing stuff, we're putting other bits and pieces on there. Tunnel, yes. We have got all of our group at the moment. We are still tunnels because we haven't got RF links between ourselves. We're still trying to get nodes, etc., all set up, and you know what the bureaucracy is like with that. But they're all connected to myself through a tunnel, and then I've also got a gateway out to the rest of the world. So if, by all means, if anybody wants to connect to the tunnel here in the northeast, we can get that sorted out, no problem. It only takes a couple of minutes to sort out, and that allows you to experiment and see what else is out there over in the States and different countries, etc.
G4EKM, G4NRC, you came to a bit of a crashing end there, Steve, but gather, yeah, well, you ended a bit happy, I think, for more to take part in the tunnelling through you for Arden. Was there any more, Steve? G4EKM, G4NRC, over? G4NRC, I'm going to guess not. Now I'm going to have to pick the rate up to clear the net before I've got to go. G4KAL, G4NRC, over?
G4NRC, G4KAL. Yeah, thanks so much, Greg. SA73, don't keep going. Look forward to hopefully seeing you next Saturday. Yeah, G4KAL clear.
G4KAL, G4NRC, yeah, looking forward to it as long as I'm not trapped in a van trying to do a Spectrum forum. Okay, thanks for that. Ian, Golf 3 Zulu Hotel X-Ray, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G3ZHX, I'll keep this brief. Point about the catalytic converter is a good one. I'm not entirely convinced that's a problem, but my wading techniques were learned before the days of CAT, so it should be taken into account. You certainly don't go wading over the sills. And with that, I'm sorry I won't be at the AGM next week. I don't think I'm up to it, so I'm going to wish everybody 7-3, and thanks for running the net, Greg. And over back to you, G3ZHX.
G3ZHX, G4NRC. Okay, no problem. Yes, I will be back from after the AGM for the net. Apologies for the dog noise, if anybody can hear it. Next to Colin, 2 Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4NRC, over.
Yeah, from 2E0 CMS. Yeah, I'll keep it short. As far as weather and the Starlink, I haven't noticed any interruptions on that during heavy rain or anything. I've noticed the signal a little bit slower, but no actual interruptions. Anyway, thanks for running the net, Greg. 7-3 for now. Talk to you next week.
2 Echo 0, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4NRC. Thanks, Colin, and good luck on the presentation. Guy, Mike 0, Golf Uniform Yankee, G4NRC, over. Zero Golf Uniform Yankee, 66% packet loss. Try again, over.
Golf Uniform Yankee to G4 NRC. Just pop the power up. I'm on mobile now, but nothing to add. So just thanks for running the net, Greg, and I will see you next week from Mike Zero Golf Uniform Yankee.
Mike Zero Golf Uniform Yankee G4 NRC. Okay, guys, looking forward to it. 1, 2 to go, I think. Mike Zero Juliet Sierra Alpha G4 NRC, over.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold it there as you're in a hurry. I was just going to say that Ian G0, who's the left group controller, and myself went over to West Suffolk and helped Flores Heathrow today on a trail run, 10k trail run, which I think was what they used to call off cross country. But never mind. Great day, lovely weather. They all got wet and we didn't, so that was fine. Have a good week. I won't be at the AGM, too far to come. So that all goes well. Best 73, back to you, Greg. G4NRC, M0, JSA.
Zero Juliet Sierra Alpha G4 NRC. Yes, I have noticed that there was an event on today. Wonder if you've been playing in it. Well, it went well, and nice to hear some intergroup cooperation. I think I'm going to hold with Drew since and since 7-3s, but since Philip had a question about needing support, we'll finish with him. Mike India Zero, Mike Sierra Oscar, G4 NRC, over.
G4 NRC, MI0 MSO. Yes, thank you, and thank you for putting the request out. I have RAYNET.UK open my browser here, and maybe a couple other things, and I'll have a good look and read of it after dinner, which I'm just about to go down and finish. So I'll not hold it, and hopefully catch up with some of you next week at the AGM. 7-3.
G4 NRC. Okay, thanks, Philip, and see you next week. Okay, with apologies for the slightly precipitous end of the net, I'll close it here. I'm sure people can stay on a chat if they want to. So I'll thank all stations for taking time out of their busy schedules to participate in the net this afternoon. Be careful and have a good week. And until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 local time, I'll close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net and return the talk groups to being an open net rather than a directed net. 7-3 all. This is G4 NRC now closing and reverting to my normal call sign of Golf Zero Delta Uniform Bravo and then going very QRT. Bye bye.